Many people would frankly not agree with me. They don't see my perspective and perhaps even may never. But I do strive to seek such understanding, at least somewhere at some time, as I do believe we can all agree and come down to the most basics when brought to the roots of all. However, some may not even consider, some may have boundaries that would make it almost impossible to even put themselves in my shoes. However, I would say it's not even that I'm proposing a perspective of my own. I'm trying for all to be striving in understanding the very meaning of life, the very effects and consequences of our behavior, together and for all of humanity, and seeing even the more simple things that become overlooked or even overcomplexified. Some may call me this and call me that. Many will simply ignore, no matter how important the information or knowledge of transformation and realism there is. But it really isn't about me, it never is, nor should it ever be, especially concerning the truth and speaking of it from ourselves. People wouldn't want to hear what I see in depth, all the little details that add up, and then the very obvious things they themselves know they are doing that is bad for them or doesn't best serve them, but yet they will still do it. The internet already has such great tools for use, hopefully digested with an open mind and critical thinking alike to a harmony, while seeking out the differing sides in statistics, but my message isn't rooted in statistics even though statistics may back it, and certainly isn't rooted in the internet actually, for that itself is a tool. In fact, I like to do what hasn't been done. I've always been this way as it seems only best for innovation from challenge, to critical thinking and understanding, to reasoning and common sense. So while there may be already a ton of informative videos out there on the internet about foods, nutrition, and health, yes, I'll still talk about these in depth and always strive for deeper understandings, not just for myself to learn, but for my audience to learn from my learnings. But I will connect food and politics as they should applicably be observed and analyzed. I will connect the dots few connect or seek in questioning beyond their so-called scope of practice, for if we really want change, practices like these is what will do it. And then there's different forms of art for expressing the greater mission, including poetry, writing, fun content like interviews, seminars, and so forth. I want to do it all, but also provide figurative perspectives never seen before to help us entirely redefine health as we know it, for not only understanding the past but being ready and preparing for the future. It's not about what's already out there and what others are doing anyways, it's about the passion and the desire to create change, especially where change is due, where transparency is necessary, where truth is hidden yet must be brought to light. And yes, it'll take a movement to make this shift more impacted and to make a living doing our part, doing as we wish, doing what should be done, and getting reward whereto it is due. But I don't want to ask for reward. I simply see there is much to do in this world, and yes, there is much more to write about in this world. I can't be the only one who can do this. I believe we all can. Just like how we can all heal and understand, we can all come together like governments force people to. Let's instead do the opposite of government, and through awareness we can still bring people together. This would be a natural force that works with nature for once, and the forces of nature itself will work with us. If you actually wake up to the abundance in disease and the lack of fertility, the lack of morals, it shouldn't be hard to agree with the simple message that we need to listen to our universe, listen to our bodies, stop being God, and start taking responsibility, actively working with the world instead of trying to control and manipulate the world. So do you see the problems in your current life? Do you see what happened to other family members? Don't take this lightly, and don't tell me I didn't warn you, but how many times does the world have to teach you? And don't you listen? I mean, you never had to agree with me. In fact, we really shouldn't agree on everything, ever. And truly, there is always something you can point out and go on about in opposition. However, we can come together and agree for unity. Can we not? I mean, government is not that way. Drugs are not that way. The only way is through family, through tradition, through neighbors, through nature. The things we've abandoned, the things we've replaced. And where have people gotten? They've become abandoned. They feel replaced. Their life feels less meaningful. They don't have a sense of purpose. All the issues in our society today can be traced to a cure that is not only the treatment but the roots to life itself. The key to prevention, the master key to all the doors, nature. Instead of information, we can talk transformation. What is it that we can actually do? What roadblocks can we actively take down? Yes, this is the role of a health coach, but it is also the key to getting down to nature, which is why the movement is bound to grow, plus it isn't far from nature. We are mere humans like you who don't require special drugs or years of government-funded debt crisis, no bank competing, draining life, lack of direct experience schooling. After all, it only makes sense that this is the healing model since we all have the ability to heal ourselves and simply need that outsider, the health coach, the family, the friends, those questions, the right tools and food and lifestyle to do so. Information, you see, is useless despite our bombardment from it and sometimes seeking it of it to help us. Remember, nature is the best physician. Also know that nature is universal, regardless of politics and religion. I'm not talking about the opposition of nurture or authority or law or deity or anything of the sort, but rather even understanding why all such exist all for a reasoning, and that many succeed due to their abidance to nature and the ways it may make us to do things or feel certain ways as if it was through nature anyways. But that there is universal laws that even tell us that, even called natural laws. And can anyone disagree that a beach or a sunset or your desired environment makes you feel great? Now, of course, you may have a preference on environment that could be different to everyone else, but do you see that we are all in a similar world of a supposed planet? We can all agree that these forms are of nature, right? Or that they all make us feel a similar way or for a similar cause. This is what I'm referring to, and I'll help you understand where unity is found. The world we live in actually promotes unity naturally. For example, as there is man and woman, left and right brain, sun and moon, yin and yang, different jobs, but that there's cycles for change and karma and falling out of alignment with harmony and balance in nature. We simply suppress these natural self-maintenance mechanisms, these natural self-regulators, no law enforcement necessary, no doctors necessary, simply just nature. See, if we choose to work together despite being innately, uniquely different from one another, then that would be unity. That doesn't mean between all nations, however, for what distincts a nation? Getting down to the nature of all, you see we created much for ourselves and believe in them, often since the day we were born into this adaptive, cultured world. It was always hard for me to be cultured as everyone else, so they easily abide and conform and adjust, but again, not to nature, just having their used human nature to follow a malformed, denatured system. We should uphold our cultures and traditions for sure. We should admit there's certain genders, there's limits as to what is and what isn't, naturally and scientifically. There's requirements to being who we want to be and so forth. You know society is in trouble when everyone is confused of simply who to be, who to marry, what to do, and the simple things that have long been forever have now become harder in a yet supposedly convenient technological era. So what was long the truth is now at question. And yes, we should question, but what's at question and what must be questioned now is simply too much. This is often why people don't bother, not just with listening to me, but to listening to reality. It can be a real kick in the face. It's hard for people to do so. Look at the best of writings and poetry and motivational studies, and you'll see nature as the common theme. Through example like natural occurrences, occurrences and phenomena to root causes like finding yourself and really simply living life. After all, you are a so-called living being. So what do you get from this? You get peace with freedom that is innately dangerous. But because you naturally strive for peace within your own life, you take matters into your own hands and things work in your favor, oftentimes without you even realizing, because it's such daily life and efforts. Now, we've become over-analytical. As you see, I had to go on for you here in order to understand the situation we're in, but now I'm telling you to simplify it down. Please connect and subscribe to my mission, that is the message for humanity, for we really need the connection between people whose voices must be heard, issues that must be raised, truths that must be accepted, told, let into our lives as intended. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, said food is thy medicine, but he did say to let thy food be medicine, to let thy food be medicine. So will we let nature do its course, or will we try to control our course without knowing the fuller picture, all the consequences, and so forth? Forth we will go when nature is with us, not just by our side, but in our innate law that doesn't need to be written on paper. Think of the Constitution. Your freedom of speech, for example, it's a human right innately. Nobody has to tell you. Therefore, most so-called laws are man-made laws, which are opinions, dogmatic, not universal, not through all of time, etc. Otherwise, it shouldn't be a law at all because it simply exists. You simply exist. No titles necessary. Why do you think doctors, cops, politicians will become less relevant with this truth? Well, less man-made money, not the fruits of your labor, for the system that feeds itself, less control over your life by them. If nature has her way, yes, her tenderness and beauty, the feminine is necessary to restore the right brain, the natural looks brought out to living as intended, and so-called feminism of the modern age is not the answer. Nature is the answer. Please see the bigger picture. Do question, do spend time in nature, do take action given your position in this life, contribute to make your impact, seek your creativity, manifest your health, love yourself and the world around, create family, live as nature applies for this day and age. Still curious? Think more about it. Feel around it. I'm not telling you everything. I'm not going to. And certainly, I'm not going to tell you anything. Both are found within nature, and so are you. The truth is just is, and it does speak for itself. It does. However, we are the perceivers, and can very well become the deceivers. We are living perceptions. What do you see? Are you seeing the very nature of what is, what bees? I can only help so much, but I am not nature. We all make up this world, but we are all not the world. We all have such great potential and have done so much, but will you see nature? The world yourself. You don't just vote with your dollar, you impact with your mind, your very essence and existence. And you are to exist. Please do and show your existence, not your hindrance. There is peace in the world when those simple needs are satisfied and when we spend time in nature directly. A message spoken to the universe ripples more than anything, more than any internet video or writing can do. What will you do? There's been many before you, and we all live here in the world designed for you. Let me also say that money means nothing, and I will put out content regardless of anything. I have so much, I care not for reward. I will seek as nature speaks for me to desire, but for those simple keys to life like survival and food, family, love, and so forth. It's all I should ask for, and it means more than I could ever ask for. Help you, help me, help you. I know my ancestors have looked into that same sky and thought and loved and remembered and so forth, and so I love you too. I look to the same sky, I look to the same hope, and to your ancestors too. Thank you.